Meet Franklin. He can count by twos and tie his shoes. He can also zip zippers and button buttons. He's also afraid of his own shell. What? Most people my age probably remember this character fondly, whether it was the original children's book series or the preschool cartoon series that ran from the late 90s to the early aughts. For many, this little turtle was an early childhood staple thanks to its memorable characters and cute but relatable stories. Anyway, here is Gamera.
And now for something completely different.
A giant, flying, fire-breathing turtle monster, and he is just awesome! Gamera was created by the Japanese film studio Dai in 1965 to compete with Toho's mega-popular Godzilla series. The big thing that distinguished Gamera from Godzilla was that he was essentially a superhero that fought off various monsters, and was billed as the friend of all children. The original movie series tended to be very campy and geared towards kids. However, when the franchise was revived in the late 90s, a trilogy of films directed by Shusuke Kaneko took the giant turtle in a much darker and adult-oriented direction. The character is pretty obscure here in the States, unless you caught his movies growing up in the 70s.
Gamera versus Monster X. A hideous monster without a name challenges the world, destroying everything in its path.
Via Mystery Science Theater in the 90s.
You know, guys, it just dawned on me how weird this film is, you know?
Yeah,
It's
really.
just kind of goofy.
Or the recent Netflix series, Gamera Rebirth. Which is totally awesome, by the way, check it out. But take it from me, in his home country of Japan, Gamera is about as beloved as Godzilla and has been referenced many, many times. Now, you may be asking, what do Franklin and Gamera have to do with each other? Well, outside of both being turtles, just bear with me for a second. In 1986, the book Franklin in the Dark was published. The basic premise is that the young turtle is afraid of small, dark places and can't bring himself to crawl into his own shell. Obviously, turtles being able to take off their shells is biologically impossible, but whatever.
Not scientifically possible!
Franklin's mother tries to quell her son's fears by shining a flashlight in the shell to show him that nothing is in there. But Franklin, being a typical child with overactive imagination, fears there are monsters residing in the shell, waiting menacingly to get him.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
As you can see, the illustration depicts a bunch of ghostly monster figures to sell this plot point. Flash forward to 1998, and the book gets adapted for the cartoon series. The episode in question depicts the scene where Franklin has nightmarish visions of ghostly monsters coming out of his shell. But the monster designs are, as you can see, rather different from the book. Don't you think? If those monstrous apparitions seem vaguely familiar, that's because they are the various villain monsters Gamera has fought throughout the franchise. The pink monster is Gyaos. The blue one is Barugan, who can shoot rainbows from his back, by the way. Yellow is Viras, who totally looks like Squidward. And the purple is Jiger. Somebody on the animation staff obviously was a huge fan of Kaiju cinema. Probably the funniest part about this reference is how close their designs are to their live-action counterparts. Like, they were not being the least bit subtle about it. Whoever was the person or persons behind this awesome deep-cut homage, I salute you.